Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome back to our weekly Monday press luncheon. First, before we get started, since it's our last one, I want you guys to give yourselves a round of applause for all the support you guys have given us. You guys have been true blue, and I know the parking hasn't been the greatest, but we're going to try to remedy that next year. So stay tuned. Okay, Aggie football. North Carolina A&T lost another close one last Saturday at Rhode Island, 31-24. But we got another chance to get us a win on Saturday. It will be senior day for North Carolina A&T as they take on the Camels at 1 p.m. at Truist Stadium. A special guest that we have with us today, we have Nathaniel Spindle, a cornerback, and we also have Amonte Jones, an outstanding wide receiver who's had a couple of great games for us lately. But before we get to them, let's bring up our head coach, Mr. Vincent Brown.
It is a beautiful day in Aggie land. Thank you from the bottom of my heart and our players and our coaches, the unwavering support that you all that are here today and have been here throughout the course of the season, a very challenging season, the support that you've shown us. It is truly a blessing to see what Aggie Pride is and witness it on a week-to-week basis. I shared with our players after Saturday's game that, every season is a new team. Every season, even when you have the vast majority of your players returning from the previous year, every year feels a new team. And we felt going into this season that our goal was to make sure that we were competitive in the CAA. And for many of the games this season, we have been. We've come out on the wrong end of the final outcome, obviously, in nearly every game, but our goal has been to be competitive going into this with a whole cast of new players on both sides of the ball. And I'm so proud of the way our guys have fought. I told them that they displayed true grit throughout the entire course of this season and especially the last game, giving ourselves a chance to be there to win it at the end. And I also shared with them that when you make the costly mistakes that we've made, and I'm not just talking about the last fumble, but dropped passes at inopportune moments, way too many missed tackles, those things always come back to bite you at the very end. With that being said, I couldn't be proud of the way our guys fought. And we talked about we still have one more opportunity to practice and play and compete, not just play, to practice and compete. Our goal is to make sure that we send our seniors out on a positive note. And we are doing everything in our power to prepare our team, the guys that want to be here, that want to finish this thing out the right way, to give our seniors a farewell exit that they deserve for the time that they put in here at North Carolina A&T. This week we know we're facing a very talented Campbell offense, an offense that's in the upper echelon of scoring offense, passing offense. They got a really talented quarterback that's really difficult to tackle. They got a couple of big receivers. The offensive line is huge. They got two tackles, one 6'7", 340, the other 6'5", 345. Really good backs, and they get after you defensively. But again, our goal is to make sure we send our seniors out on a positive note. And so with that being said, I'll open the floor for any questions.
Coach, can you just talk about the continued improvement of Eli Breakhammer? He had another strong performance second week after filming it, KJ White.
Yeah, was really, really pleased with the way Eli managed the game on Saturday. He made a couple of really incredible throws. Obviously, the 3rd and 23 converting on 3rd down with his legs was huge. And, scoring touchdowns, throwing the ball, and running the football. So we were very, very pleased with the way Eli performed. There are some other guys that stood out. Amonte, who's here, had a really strong game for us. Jakari had a really nice catch down in their corner near the end zone. And then Kenji ran with authority for a good bit of the game. So really pleased with the foundation of the guys that we have here and looking forward to what the future holds for us.
Speaking of Kenji Christian, he had another costly fumble this past week. When you have someone that talented and so important to your offense, but they'll have mistakes, in repeated weeks, what type of corrective actions as a coach do you try to implement?
Yeah, so it's not just after the fumble, but we coach ball security. We do ball security and ball disruption drills during every week during practice. We coach them on how to carry the football. I literally talk to the running backs coming out of halftime. I say, look, the second half, ball security is going to become critical because I felt like the flow of the game would be one that we'd have a chance near the end. I talked to Kenji, I talked to Shamik, I talked to Charlie. Ball security. We're constantly preaching, carry the ball high and tight. And you'll see when the turnover happened, he's got the ball out here and the defender put his hat on the ball. So, Kenji's a conscientious young man. I'm sure he'll learn from the mistakes and we'll keep coaching our players to get better.
You talked about a challenging year. And you talk about building for the future. I know you have one more game, but are you seeing that in this team and the players that you have coming back that you are building something? And the coaches may see it better than the fans and the media see it.
Sure. I think, as you look at our team and, we lost Saturday and we've lost every Saturday other than the Norfolk State game. But if you look at how our team has performed from the beginning of the season to where they are now, the games are much more competitive. You see our guys fighting, and literally we have a chance late in the game the last few weeks to win the game. And so to me, those are things that have shown that you're improving in certain areas. Obviously the offense was really struggling throughout the earlier part of the season. And these last few weeks, we've been able to construct a plan to keep the chains moving, as I put it to our offensive staff. Here's how we're going to keep the chains moving, which allow us to stay on schedule, which allow us to be in the game late in the game. And we've been there, were it not for a turnover Saturday, a turnover against Towson, 3 turnovers against Richmond. Those games are very different if you don't turn the ball over.
Speaking of your young nucleus on offense, are you confident at this point from what you've seen out of multiple quarterbacks you played this year that the starting quarterback the next year is somewhere on this roster?
I do believe the starting quarterback is on this roster, but it is our job, it is our goal to constantly try to improve the talent. That's how championship teams are built. You're constantly looking to recruit, and literally we're putting together, as we get prepared for Campbell, how do we improve our program? From A to Z, we're going to evaluate every aspect, how we operate, how we eat, how we train, how we call plays, how we recruit. All of those things are going to be evaluated. And championship caliber programs are constantly self-assessing. How do we get to an elite level, which we're striving to get to?
Coach, even though the last 3 games haven't gone the way that you wanted to go, seems like your team has grown a lot in those 3 games. What's impressed you the most about your team's growth over this 3-game stretch here?
I think, when Brad Holmes spoke to the team a couple of weeks ago, he talked about grit. And I think our guys, in spite of all the challenges, because it'd be very easy to pack it in weeks ago, in spite of all the challenges, our guys have shown up and continue to fight the very last play. And after that game, no one had their heads down. No one had their heads down. Guys were obviously disappointed that the game ended the way it did Saturday, but no one held their heads down. And to me, that was a sign of a team that understands that we're getting close and that we got to eliminate the things that cause you to lose games, which, we've done the last few weeks.
Looking back on it now, Coach, what's been the major difference between being able to win those ball games instead of coming out with a loss like you have in the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, I think when you look at the teams that we've competed against over the last 6 weeks or so, they're all in the hunt for the CAA title. They're all veteran teams, veteran quarterback, with the exception of Richmond, veteran quarterback at Delaware, 20-plus veteran players on their side of the ball. Villanova, veteran quarterback, 15 to 18 veteran players on both sides of the ball. And so one of the things you look at is that when you have youth and inexperience, along with that comes some of the growing pains that, those teams have already weathered over the last few years.
Coach, as you enter your final game of your first season as head coach, is there a big takeaway that you've learned this year that's going to help better prepare you for next year?
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many details, and running a championship caliber program from A to Z, and you're dependent upon a lot of people to help you get your program to that championship caliber status. And I know there's tremendous support here. There's passionate fans. The administration has been very supportive, and we just know that you have to lay the foundation. And I'm as disappointed or more disappointed in the way the season has gone than anyone. But I'm not discouraged because I know the process that we're building is going to reap dividends for us down the road.
Coach, you talked about recruiting, and I know you still have a game you focus on this couple weeks, but I know as far as long-term thinking, do you honestly look at your roster and say, the amount of young players you have, that this is a foundation that all we need to do is let the season get better? Or will it be like a Deion Sanders thing where I got to do a major overhaul in all season, bring in my own luggage, so to speak? Where are you at with that?
Yeah, we're not going to tell all of our guys that they're not good enough to play here. I actually had that conversation with our team a couple of days ago. There's some guys that'll decide that they don't want to be a part of what we're doing because they're unwilling to, A, go to class, B, conduct themselves in a championship caliber standard where, okay, if you're not going to go to class, if you don't want to get up and train and lift, if you don't want to commit yourself to being the absolute best that you can be, then you probably should go somewhere else. So we know we'll probably lose a couple, but we want most of our guys back. And again, my job is to look at how can we best build our team to be able to compete at an elite level within our conference first and foremost, and then on the national landscape secondly. And we're constantly looking at ways to improve every aspect of what we're doing.
Then I pose that same question as far as your coaching staff. Would your preference to bring in everyone on your staff back next year, or will you look at it, maybe make some changes to that?
Again, we're going to evaluate every aspect of our program, and we're constantly looking at how do we get better.
Coach, in terms of this last game, I know a close one, but what were your biggest takeaways from that game?
That I saw a team that came out energetic, ready to compete against a quality opponent on the road when it could have very easily have gone completely the opposite direction. You're sitting there at 1-8 and you're going on the road and it's a little cooler there than it is here. And, you got all kind of distractions, and our guys just came out and they focused on the moment, as we talked about. Just focus on the moment and the blessings that it is to be able to play the game, because for some, this is your next to last opportunity to play. Many of our kids, that eligibility will be expiring, will never get a chance to put on pads and compete again. And I thought our guys did a great job of operating in the moment.
Coach, based on what you've seen so far this season, what's the major difference between this A&T team and some of the upper echelon squads in the CAA?
Yeah, I mean, it's very challenging to compare, first-year program with the myriad of new players to a team like Villanova, a team like Delaware that has gone out and, got, 20-plus graduate-level players or seniors and above graduate-level players. To me, it is filling a few holes, learning how to overcome the hurdles that are presented to you in challenging times, learning how to hang on to the football, learning how to execute the calls on the back end defensively. And I think we have kids that are willing, but again, we're always looking to try to find ways. And I said it to the staff, how do we get better? We have to look at every single aspect of what we're doing, how we call the plays, how we install it, how we teach it, how we practice it, how we feed our players, how they lift, how much rest they get. Are we monitoring what they're doing from a physical exertion standpoint? We need to look at every aspect of their development.
In terms of this Campbell game, how would you describe the scheme that Campbell runs offensively and defensively? Yeah,
so offensively, they are a spread style offense, mostly 11 personnel, some 10, a little bit of 12. They give you a good bit of empty quarterback runs. They like to throw the football. I think they're second in passing offense in the league. They got talented players. And then defensively, they're multiple. They like to get after you. They've been 3 down. They've been 4 down. We've seen every front imaginable. So what they do really doesn't present the challenge. It's how we operate and how we prepare to do the things that we need to be able to do to win the game.
Coach, you've been doing this a lot of years. Have you ever seen the call where it's on 4th down, you go for a fake punt, you throw the ball, and the defensive back, I guess, essentially tackles the wide receiver? But have you seen that rule?
No. I mean, it's the first time I've seen that rule actually enforced. Our special teams coordinator brought it to our attention that that it's not a penalty because it was not an offensive formation that we lined up in, and the officials came over to explain it to me to make sure. And I was talking to Coach Fleming after the game, and he said, in all his years, he didn't know the rule existed as it was applied also.
And just the nature of you calling some trick plays last week, was that just kind of like to try some new things, or are you what kind of put more pressure on defense now?
Yeah, so one of the things that we've done over the last few weeks is we've created some new formations and personnel packages offensively. And going into Saturday's game, I said, look, if the opportunity presents itself, I'm going to fake a punt, because I wanted to give our players the best chance to win the game. And lining up and playing ping pong, which is, hey, we're going to punt it to them, they're going to punt it back to us. I didn't think that would give us the best chance. So when the opportunity presented itself, hey, let's, why not? Let's give our guys a chance to create an explosive play, keep the offense on the field, and give ourselves a chance to win the game.
I know that Brick Handler got time this past week. Was that a product of the injury situation in the room, or was that just a coach's decision?
No, it was, we're banged up at the quarterback position, and Eli's been the number 2 quarterback the last month and a half or so. So Kevin could not go. Kevin didn't even make the trip. So it was, Eli's opportunity to shine, and he did a nice job for us.
Was there anything about his performance that either caused you to have any different thoughts about the depth chart from what you already had, or did that kind of confirm your previous thoughts? I guess, how did that performance kind of impact your thinking about the quarterback situation?
Yeah, no, Eli played a very good game for us. It wasn't a record-setting game, but he played a very good game. And oftentimes we just ask the guys to manage the offense and operate within the framework of the way the plays are designed. And Eli did a much better job of managing the offense. He made plays with his legs. He made a couple of throws in some really tight windows. And those are things that you're looking for all of our guys. You want to see growth. And I've shared with them, look, I'm a former player also. I know they all want to play. They all want to play. All the quarterbacks want to play. All the backs want to play. There are only so many snaps in the game, and we make judgments from week to week, who's going to give us the best chance to win. And fortunately for Eli, he gave us a chance this week. We just didn't do enough in all three phases to come out on top.
If someone's a skeptic, they see your winning now record, and like your former coach was famous for saying, you are what your record says you are. If they're a skeptic and they want to say, why should we continue to trust the process? What would you be your answer to that?
Yeah, I'd say just give us time. You know, as I alluded to, the team, in my estimation, looks different now than it did 7 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago. And you see a team that is extremely competitive. You see a team that lost 7 kids to the transfer portal and multiple starters to graduation. A team that has a lot of first-year players playing in critical areas, offensively, defensively, and special teams. And, you know, you're right. You are what your record says you are. And we have lost games. We've been in games. We've had opportunities to win games. And our goal, our plan, and our purpose is to improve our team so that we can finish these games and win them.
Coach, trying to finish these games and win them, how does that impact your attitude, your philosophy, just your feeling about this team? Because, as was mentioned, it's 1-9, but in the last 2 games, you've been there on the step. With a break or two, you emerge. How are you feeling about where this process is going?
I'm encouraged. I'm not discouraged one bit. I know the deficiencies that we have within our program. I see it. I knew coming in some of the deficiencies that we have, and we're working. I think we'll have a better opportunity now, having gone through this season with one game remaining, to really know what we need to do to take it to the next level. And we have a plan in place. We've already started the process of how do we improve every aspect of what we're doing in order to become a winning program within the conference.
I know that throughout this season, you've said that this team has remained motivated, has played hard despite the losses. I know a difficult thing for a lot of college programs at times when you have a group of seniors and they realize they're not playing for the playoffs, they're not playing for a championship, things like that. What have you seen from that group day in and day out as far as remaining focused, remaining motivated, practice, workouts, despite there not being, any kind of thing on the line at this point?
I've seen a group of kids that have embraced the fact that, this is the greatest game in all of sports, because you're dependent upon so many people in order for your team to be successful, unlike basketball where 1 or 2 players can change the course of the game. And we've shared with our guys that the hard work, the discipline, the dedication to being your absolute best that you're demonstrating each and every day that you go out it will benefit you in life, not necessarily just in football. It will benefit you in life. So when you encounter challenging times, you know how to put your head down and keep driving forward just because things aren't going the way that you wanted them to go.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Yep, my pleasure.
Before we bring our players up, I also would be remiss if I didn't thank our media for all your coverage this year. I really want to say thank you, and I appreciate it for all the coverage of Aggie football, our players. There's some great stories around here, and you guys have done a great job of telling those stories. We're going to bring up our cornerback, Nathaniel Spindle. He is an outstanding young man, outstanding student, part of our student athletic advisory committee as well. Does a great job. He is a great Aggie and will be a great Aggie going forward. So when he comes up, it'll be Nathaniel Spindle. He's out of Charlotte. Floor is open for questions.
Nathaniel, talk about the balance you have to strike as a student and an athlete.
Mm.
How do you manage that time? Because the whole team does, but you've risen to a special level as a representative.
Mm.
So discuss that aspect of your life.
Yeah, definitely. I'll just say time management, just having to stay focused and whatnot. And Coach Brown, he's done a tremendous job just letting us know that although football is a extremely important part of us being here, we're definitely here for education first. And, of course, he encourages us to be involved in extracurricular activities, such as me being involved in SAC and whatnot. So just definitely having the support from Coach Brown and the coaching staff has been a huge help.
How do you manage your day?
Mm-hmm.
There's always football practice.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have to go study. What's your average day like?
Just my average day, just again, like I said, just time management, of course, and just eliminating distractions, just waking up, early for morning lifts, getting back, going to having the class, and then, my extracurricular activities. I just say time management is the biggest thing, and just knowing what I have to stay on top of.
Past few games haven't come out the way you guys hoped, but the momentum you guys have built in the past few games, how do you carry that to next season?
Just staying encouraged. We're of course disappointed by not winning, but we're definitely encouraged. And Coach Brown and the staff has done a tremendous job of just reminding us that we're really privileged to be able to play this game. So we just go on with the mindset that it's not something that we have to do. It's something that we get up and wake up and we're able to do. So that's been the biggest thing for us.
What year are you?
Redshirt sophomore. Yeah.
A young guy.
Yes, sir.
Well, coming into a program,
Mhm.
how difficult has it been for you and your other teammates to kind of handle not on the winning side of the scale?
Definitely, we just trusting the process. Just trusting the coaching staff and whatnot. We stick together. We keep our heads up throughout the locker room, and we know these type of things take time. So we're just staying within each other. Keeping each other heads up, keeping each other encouraged. That's just been the biggest thing.
Does the season and the way it's gone impact your academics?
Mhm.
Is that, or how do you separate the two? How do you keep the season from weighing on your schoolwork?
Well, definitely. Again, we know we're here for education first. So I say personally, it hasn't affected me at all. We're here to get our degree and, of course, win games. But us winning or not getting amount of wins, of course, has affected me academically at all.
What are you majoring in, and what do you hope to do with it?
Okay, I'm currently a criminal justice major, and I'm actually on pace to graduate a whole year early. So I'm supposed to graduate in the spring, and I plan on getting my master's in information technology. I'm working cybersecurity. So, I definitely just been staying focused. Just staying focused.
Anything else for Mr. Spindle? Appreciate it, man. Great job. Amonte Jones is a sophomore out of Chesapeake, Virginia, a very dynamic athlete. He's been knocking on the door of a 100-yard receiving game lately, so we know that's coming. Had a great catch at Rhode Island last week, outstanding catch if you get a chance to see it. So without further ado, Mr. Amonte Jones.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Monty, you were close again on Saturday. Was the mood after the game? Because it was tied. Rhode Island gets a late touchdown. How do you guys recover from that? Because it was, again, another opportunity that sort of slipped through your hands.
It's definitely frustrating because we know that we're able to win those games, but it's just really executing and finishing the drives because we drive down the field, but it's always the little things like the fumbles, of course, and all we can do is fix the mistakes and execute.
Is there one thing you feel like you guys need to focus on? I mean, there's only one game left now, but there's also the off season to remember what you did and what you need to fix. What do you do coming up for this Saturday, and then what do you look to work on getting ready for 2024?
We look at Saturday like to go 1-0. We always want to win the game. We go into the week thinking we're going to win the game, and for the off season, we just trust the process because we see that every week we have improved and we see what we can be. We just got to continue to trust the coaches and trust the training.
Amonte, talk to us a little bit about what your growth has been like and the overall team growth has been like throughout this whole season.
In the beginning, I believe like we weren't disciplined like at all. We had a lot of mental mistakes. We had a lot of doubt, I believe, in the locker room that we weren't where we supposed to be in. But coach has showed us that it's definitely improvement in the team, that we belong in this conference. We belong where we are right now. We just got to, like I said, fix the little mistakes and keep improving and trust the process.
So would you say overall you've been able to kind of come together
Yes,
as
sir.
a team over these past couple of weeks rather than what you were, I'd say, at the beginning of the season?
Yes, sir. We definitely becoming closer as a team, beginning to trust what we are and what we can be. So just trusting the process, trusting the coaches, and doing what we got to do to stay focused.
Anything else for Monty?
Okay, real quick, senior day. For you, you have a couple more years to play, but these guys, it's their last game.
Yes,
Just that
sir.
focus into practice and wanting to send these guys out on a winning note. You guys a little more attention to detail this week in practice and doing the right things?
Yes, sir. I feel like every week we pay attention to detail. Like it's not going to change any different, but we definitely want to send our seniors out on a big W, hopefully, and end the season in a encouraging win. So we go into next season with some momentum.
I think over the past couple games, seen noticeable improvement in terms of the effectiveness of the passing game. For you, what are the biggest key factors in terms of that passing game, really improving, at least statistically noticeably for sure?
Really all I can do is my job. I can trust the offense, run my routes, do my job on the play, hopefully, and when the ball comes to me, make a play on it and do what I can do for the offense.
Thank you, Monty. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
All right, it looks like all the box lunches might be gone, so we're good for lunch. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our radio show. Appreciate it. Thank you, man.